I'm Jenny Carlson here with Barry Trammell. We're in Stillwater for OSU's Orange Blitz, their spring finale. Barry, we saw a little bit of scrimmaging at the end of this hour and a half or so that the Cowboys had out here at Boone Pickens Stadium, and we saw some quarterback play. Seems pretty obvious that there's a clear-cut guy in that top spot.
Yeah, you know, I even asked Mike Gundy. 2 years ago, we had a three-way battle here at OSU for the quarterback. Really wasn't settled. At the end of spring, nobody knew who they might pick. They went with Wes Lunt. This year, it's clear J.W. Walsh is the #1 quarterback. Doesn't mean he'll keep the job. Doesn't even mean he'll start the Florida State game, but it sure seems like that's a certainty because of experience. The offensive line is not in great shape this spring, so they need some experience back there just to handle pressure. That would be J.W. I think this is going to be J.W.'s team at least starting off.
Yeah, it sure looks like it, and his scramble ability is going to be key because they're without Devin Davis, who's recovering from that ACL. He told me after the scrimmage, the blitz, whatever in the heck we're calling this, that he probably will not be cleared yet for a couple more months. Brandon Garrett, also a reserve offensive lineman, he's out with that broken leg from the Cotton Bowl. He doesn't expect to be cleared, he told me, until almost fall camp. So they're going to be thin at that offensive line. And they're a little bit thinner at quarterback, Barry. It sounds like Daxx Garman did not participate today. Sounds like he's got an injury.
Well, he tweaked his knee on Friday. They had to cart him off. Now, sources are starting to tell us that they don't think it's serious, but I don't think they'll know for sure until Monday. So if something happened to Garman, that would really hurt the OSU depth. Then you're down to a true freshman, a high school guy, really, who as your backup quarterback.
Lastly, about the offense, before we talk a little defense, we got to see Tyreek Hill. You got to see him earlier this week, Barry, as did some other media folks at an open practice that the Cowboys had. But he did not play much, if any, receiver that I saw. He was coming out of the backfield exclusively. Is that a product of Desmond Rowland being hurt and they needing running backs, or is this guy going to be a running back?
I think he's going to be a running back. Now, I also think they'll play him some at slot receiver. I talked to some coaches, and they're just going to get him on the field because he's such a weapon. Think Tavon Austin at West Virginia. Remember how West Virginia used Tavon Austin at the end of the 2012 season? Slot receiver, running back, kick returner. I think that's how OSU is looking to use Tyreek Hill. But you're right. He was even in drills. He was exclusively at tailback. I think OSU's finding out if he can hold up under the rigors of tailback. But for sure, he's going to, I think, go into August as a tailback.
All right, let's talk a little defense because that's obviously a huge question mark for the Cowboys after they lose so many mainstays on that defense last year. I mean, whether you start with Justin Gilbert or Calvin Barnett, every position, those linebackers obviously were a veteran bunch that they lost. What did you see out of the defense, Barry? Positives, negatives?
Well, I mean, I thought the defensive line was very good. The Cowboys didn't run the ball all that well today, and a pretty good pass rush on those guys. So I thought the front four, some of the linebacking was very solid. Mike Gundy said he thinks the D line will be better this coming season than last season. But in the backfield, got beat deep a couple of times. I think they're going to have some shaky moments early on with that secondary. So I think it's both a hot and cold mix. Look for that defensive line to be the best part of this team.
Yeah, that secondary didn't exactly let guys run around. It looked like they were really confused, but when you get beat deep, and when you realize your opener is against Florida State and Jameis Winston, obviously cause for concern. Lots of Cowboy coaches and Cowboy players talked after today's event. Let's hear what they had to say.
Our defensive line, the wide receivers are the deepest positions that we have, and they're the most experienced. And I think we'll be better on the defensive line next year than we were this year. That's my personal opinion. I think we'll be better at wideout next year than we were last year. We'll see. They have to stay healthy, work ethic, all those things we talk about all the time are very, very important. But the maturity we have at those positions is what you would have on a normal year when you didn't have 28 seniors. And so those positions are in good shape right now. The other ones, we're still developing young players.
We're all very fast, physical guys. We have Jawan Seals coming back who, has potential to be an all Big 12 guy. And I think we're going to light it up. I'm really excited.
Oh man, those guys are good, man. And it's better for us as corners to get to face that good talent every single day. You know what I'm saying? And I feel like it's gonna help us and help them. They face some good corners, we face some good wide receivers. So I like the competitiveness and I like to compete. So it's good.
I think you got a young man that can play multiple positions, and that's part of what you do in spring ball is experiment and see what a young man can do. So we started him back there to get a chance. He's gonna play some receiver as well, but we're just figuring out ways to put the ball in his hands and kind of see what he's capable. capable of. We all know he's fast. I think we all know that. Now seeing if he can do that on the football field, we've been very pleasantly surprised with what he's been able to do so far.
Well, spring is not quite over for the Cowboys as they have practices remaining. But, Barry, if you were in Mike Gundy's shoes, what would you want to get accomplished in these next few practices?
I'd want to get that defense as much experience as possible. Offensive line still shaky, but some of that is injury. At least 2 starters gone, Devin Davis, Brandon Garrett not here in the spring. Not a lot you can do with that. That defense needs all the reps and all the practice and all the drills it can get. Get that defense, particularly that secondary, in line.
All right, be sure to stay with the best coverage team anywhere at newsok.com and every day in the Oklahoma.